Hey, my name is Nicole Weaver, and this is my self-reflection video assignment for the Advanced Online Audio course. How did my attitude, logic, and behaviors influence my projects? I feel like for the most part, I did the best I could do on my assignments this month. The worst grade I received was an 86 on my rough mix project, and I suppose that I could have re-recorded that second half of my dialogue before I submitted it, so it at least sounded somewhat consistent. But between the issues that I was having with the way that I perceive loudness, I listened to my music way too loud as a kid, and I am constantly asking people, everyone I know, whether it be family, coworkers, I'm always asking people to repeat themselves because I can never hear what they are saying. I hear they're saying something, but I can never understand what it is. So between my hearing problems, and then combine that with, trying to balance this job, and I have a crazy work schedule, all while trying to, still manage to spend time with my son and try and get more than 3 hours of sleep a night. I think I probably maxed myself out. I would have gotten a better grade, 1000%. There were things that I just had to, unfortunately, sacrifice for the sake of getting the assignment in at all. As I started working on my projects, I realized that I really wanted to know more about just how most efficiently to go about recording and editing audio, between cutting up the clips and placing them exactly where you want them on the timeline, having to re-record some segments because I, cough or something, and then move the playhead back to where it was before just so I can re-record that portion. I found myself spending a decent amount of time looking up keyboard shortcuts anyways, and just generally Googling the most efficient way to do XYZ task in Audition. Even though I've taken Audition courses before, I'm not as fluent in that program by any means whatsoever. It's most likely because I don't use Audition very often, and when I do tend to, I just kind of use the more automated features, just kind of my default. Unfortunately, that's usually at the expense of high quality audio that I could be getting if I just knew those dang shortcuts in the same way that I do with Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. The only reason why I am so efficient in the more visual programs within the Creative Suite is because I have spent years and years and years practicing and working and keeping up with the tutorials and keeping up with the latest releases on the software. I've pursued the graphics portion of media heavily. I've not done the same for programs like Audition and Premiere. After taking a look at this next portfolio class that's coming up, it's basically combining advanced audio and the advanced video classes, so now will be a great time for me to start doing that. If I had more time, I probably would have re-recorded the dialogue a third time. Obviously, I recorded it for that final mix, but I probably would have just scrapped that portion and just done the whole thing all over again, because even though my second take was much better than the first, it was still nowhere near as good as that second half, in my opinion, the original second half. I just was not able to recreate those full, rich tones, and I was sitting in the exact same spot on my couch. I think my settings must have been off or something for the recording itself. I also probably would have taken the time just to record a lot of my own sound effects, because I just wasn't happy with a lot of the ones that I was finding online. Nothing really seemed to kind of match the vision that I had in my head. How does my experience working with digital audio support my professional objective? The media industry is pretty heavily saturated with people who specialize in graphics, and maybe undersaturated in those who do things like clean up audio for the interviews, or post vlogs or edit vlogs. When you say media communications, I feel like most people, or at least I, immediately think graphic designer, video editor, public relations specialist, or marketing executive. But all of those components have one common factor, and that's audio. And if your audio is subpar, then it reflects poorly on you as the professional in the industry. So while my hands may feel like I'm starting to get carpal tunnel by the time I'm finishing editing a project, I definitely see it as a useful skill to continue polishing, because demand is higher than the supply of industry professionals who can do the job. And that's just the facts. Overall, I did a lot better than I thought I would do in this class, so while it may not have been up to my standards, I feel like, such is the plight as with us creatives, I feel like we are our most harsh critics. So thanks for listening. See you next time.